What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another amazing traveling episode of the podcast. This is episode number 16, Liz.
I can't count the side.
I think it's episode number 16, and we are really, really excited about this one because we're not in our house. We are mobile, but not Mobile, Alabama, which is actually Mobile,
Just continue.
Alabama. We're super excited. We are up in, are we in Spartanburg? Duncan? Woodruff.
I can't even say it because of my speech.
Close to Spartanburg area with our near and dear, far and dear friends, pastors Tyler and Holly. Still very excited to have them. This is gonna be one of the most ridiculous episodes I think we've ever had. But we really are excited to do this and to expose you guys to them and to their ministry and stuff. They pastor over at Story Church. You can find them on storychurchsc.com, or you can always follow them on Instagram, which we love Instagram, at storychurchsc. And it's gonna be a great episode, Liz.
So good.
How long have we known these guys?
We've known them probably, 11, 12 years now? Something like that.
Life.
We were talking on the way up here how they did not come to our wedding, and we just celebrated 10 years.
Yeah, no.
Because they were busy moving, because we didn't know we were going to be such good friends.
Yeah, you should explain that.
It's fine.
They were invited, but they were...
But chose not to come.
Well, had to move, yes. So, yeah, we thought that we would do something really cool and just kind of open up for some fun stories and some... really just want to talk about how important ministry friendships are specifically in the context of a ministry couple that we grew really close to.
And then they left us.
True. So, started off, I guess I'm going to give this one to you.
Ready.
So tell us how you and Taylor, because it's really you and Taylor who worked at the church together. So tell us how you guys did ministry together and what a goober you thought he was.
Okay. Yeah. Well, technically we weren't doing ministry together because you were working for someone who was working alongside me. So I was doing middle school ministry and you were leading worship for high school and young adults. And I was a volunteer in young adults and pastoring middle school. But all I can remember, the only memory that comes to mind is you set up red lights all over the building for youth for a certain series. And it was supposed to be like creepy. And you set red lights up everywhere. And red lights are my least favorite color lighting ever.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Do you remember what series it was?
I do not remember that at all.
I just remember in the foyer there was like red lights everywhere.
Was there strobe lights and stuff
yeah,
too?
There was strobing and everything.
I think I went on YouTube and I found like war sounds, like machine guns were going and had strobes in the foyer and shit.
It was interesting. That's all. That's
maybe the Purge series.
It was the Purge.
Oh my gosh.
Which was an awful series. Like, it was supposed to be way cooler. It's kind of like our mountains.
No, dude, that was the greatest stage design.
The LED tape.
We have ever had.
That didn't quite make it. It was kind of a little off. But mountains are a little off. But
I thought it was the coolest thing. It had the graphic on screen and it just continued into real life.
It looked way cooler in my mind. But that's what I remember. And then we started really leaning in young adults, I think was our first, because I took over young adults. You were the worship leader.
And flipped it. We flipped it.
Yeah, we completely changed it. And
that
went
was
to
when I started planning my outfits.
Yeah. We had the outfit conversation.
So dumb.
Looking back, I'm like, it was good for our growth, but I'm not that guy anymore.
Which is probably for the best.
Yeah.
What the outfit conversation was.
Yeah. Okay. So way back in the day, not really at all, but I have always been the most stylish person in the room, probably. And I would always wear mega baggy jeans. And I remember, I think at that time it was Kyle, who was our worship leader. We sat down and he was like, "Hey man, so we just kind of want to go for a look here," or something like that.
More clean look.
More clean, absolutely. And so I was like, I can wear skinny jeans. And so that's probably why I wear nothing but skinny jeans. I'm scarred from that conversation.
That's funny. That's the earliest memory, and we started doing ministry together there. I think that was our first taste of I guess the duo coming together and dreaming about everything. And I think I only did that for
It was short.
6 months, young adults. Yeah. And then launching the campus, and I don't even remember how you became the guy. I want to say that I just said that you were going to be the guy, and I was just like, I want Taylor to do it. At that time, it was probably 100% because of your vocal ability and nothing else. Like there was no other thing. And then the rest is history. After that, we worked together 10 years.
Yeah, so 2013 launched Goose Creek campus.
Yeah.
And that was when
That's when we got married.
2015.
2015, we launched the campus.
2015.
Yeah. September 2015.
Yeah. September 13th.
Our anniversary in the Goose Creek launch.
We were on stage at North Charleston campus during the message, all of the people of God just sitting in the seats, and she goes, "When's our anniversary?" And I was like, "September 13th, 2015." I was like, she goes, "No, it's not." And I went, "No, that's the day we launched the church." Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so started that off, and
in a school.
Yeah, set up and tear down portable. That was when I was doing worship leading. And then a couple years.
Else.
Yeah.
And meeting every Sunday morning at 5 a.m. to pick up a box truck that only worked when it wanted to.
And never in the winter.
Never.
So did that for a while, and then went into associate pastoring because we raised up somebody who could do worship leading basically as good as I could. And I didn't want her to leave. So I was like, dude, you got to make her the worship leader because I'll do anything else. And so ended up doing that. And then
COVID hit.
Gosh.
Right after that.
As we're putting out surveys to people about our fourth service.
Yeah, we were launching a fourth service.
That was probably the thing I had to die to the most. It wasn't not meeting for, however long we didn't meet for. It was literally the fact that we were almost to 4 services. And to me, that was like...
We were growing pretty rapidly again.
God.
And then, we were doing surveys about Saturday or Sunday evening services.
I think I was going to do the Saturday service.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. God.
And we were going to rotate you and me and Caleb, and Karina would rotate with worship stuff to make it happen.
We all would have had to have couples counseling.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked.
4 services. Not for long.
We would have, yeah. It sounded really cool, though.
Yeah, it was a pride thing for sure for me.
It would have looked really cool on social media.
I needed it on my resume.
Yeah.
So you guys... this Sunday, we're recording this on a Friday night. So this Sunday will be the 3rd Sunday meeting.
Week 3.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
Gosh.
Every moment after launch feels like a strange statement because of so many moments leading up to launch.
Yeah, okay.
It was a 13-month journey to get to launch day. And now post-launch day, to speak of it post is very weird.
Do you feel like... it's only going to be the 3rd week, so it's still super fresh. But do you feel like almost like every week after launch, you feel like it gets a little bit easier?
Setup and teardown does. We feel the first week we got to set up on a Saturday night, so that made everything feel way easy.
Yeah.
But we got there early on Sunday morning and still barely got ready. Everything crashed. Someone, to mark history. Someone tripped over the power cord again, and we lost power to everything, just like we did 8 years before in our school as we were getting ready, except this time it wasn't my brother-in-law. So we have no one has owned up to who tripped over the power cord, but 10 minutes before service on launch day, tripped power cord, and we found it 5 minutes before service as the countdown was starting and got all power back. So... But yeah, I feel like we're finding a groove. I think our perspective of what a win on a Sunday has drastically shifted from when we were doing campus ministry for a large church compared to doing church as a smaller launch. So, but I feel like everything's gone smooth. Our venue is aesthetically so pleasing that everything's easy. So that's really nice. But yeah, week 3 feels weird. Feels weird.
Do you feel, Holli? I know. You can just say yes or no. I just want you to say a yes or no question so they can hear your voice.
She's here.
Yeah, so they just know you are here,
She's
and
in the
Tyler
room.
is happily married, and he's not doing this alone. Okay, we just want
Holly
people.
loves to talk.
Honestly, I just need people to know that I have friends, and this is really what this is for me, Holly. So it's just gonna be a yes, a no question. Do you feel you guys are doing pretty well?
Yes, we are.
That's all I needed. That's all I needed.
Such a great answer.
Oh, that's so nice. So I want to talk about some. That was beautiful.
She didn't even try to extend it. No. She just like,
Yes, I am.
we are. She's hilarious.
I wanna go back in time a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit about funny stories. Which this is where you might come in a little more than I can, because I have the memory of a 99-year-old with dementia. So we did, campus ministry stuff forever. It feels like
7 years.
yeah.
7 years campus ministry.
When we celebrated our 10th anniversary, I went, God, I guess this is the start of getting old. This is the point where things get, go downhill from here. But I want to talk about some of the funny moments that we've had, because those are the things, man, ministry is made or broken by the people that you're doing it with, and the relationships that you have. And so I think one of the most encouraging things, and probably the biggest lifeline, I would say, Liz, I don't know about you, but the biggest lifeline that I would say was the relationship we had in super difficult moments and in difficult, crazy things. And when random stuff happens and you just go, what is going on? This seems like really chaotic, but the relationships you have with your coworkers, if they are solid, you can make it through some pretty crazy stuff. So I don't know. I think about the major one for me. It was the moment, gosh, what year was this? Where we were in this Christmas series, and Christmas season, y'all, at church is just bonkers. Why are you laughing, Liz?
That's where my mind went too. That's the exact story I was thinking of.
I wasn't even going to tell that one. I was just going to mention the whole thing in general, but I guess now we should say it. As she buries her face in a pillow. But Christmas season in church world is insane just because of the crazy stuff. And so we're doing all this stuff, and we're set up and tear down. And so we're doing our best to basically bribe people to come to church. So we have popcorn everywhere. We've got a hot chocolate going.
Popcorn tins.
We're not just doing
the nostalgic popcorn
we're blowing
tins.
breakers because we're trying to pop our own popcorn too. Just all kind of crazy junk. And, one of the things we had was a chocolate fountain. And Liz just so happened to be in charge of the wake up team out in the foyer. And
wake up team.
As she was, I'm bringing stuff back. And as she's getting everything ready in her beautiful Christmas shirt that she had just purchased, I'm pretty sure the weekend before, chocolate fountain just decides to spontaneously combust, and just chocolate slinging everywhere. It's just crazy, including on the shirt. And she's a mess, and I am heavily involved in setting up and tearing down and doing all the stuff that comes along with the stressful Christmas stuff. So I'm mentally fried too. So that weekend we decided to just go to Myrtle Beach, and
the infamous Myrtle Beach trip.
Just drove. We drove right home, and I was like, you have 5 minutes to pack a bag and we're leaving. And so we did. We drove to Myrtle Beach and had a cheap hotel that we booked on the way, and we went into a little hot tub out there that was probably terrible. And we just said, do we want to stay? Because this is kind of dumb. If we're really honest, this is really worth it. And we decided to stay because the Lord hadn't called us away yet. But it was wild. And I always think about that.
Tyler can talk about it
No
I don't know why that was when you said funny stories from the past, all I thought was chocolate fountain. I think it's because it's such a defining moment of the tension of trying to do great things as a young church, but at the same time faced with the reality of it was hard. And I think you told me about the Myrtle Beach trip 2 months later. Yeah. And thank God for some reason I had enough pride, because it should have created tons of insecurity where you're we're making a decision on whether we're going to leave or stay. And I guess it didn't faze me that much, but I remember going home and being geez, they were going to leave. That's a crazy thought.
Yeah, well, with that, like, it was just a lot of stress. And because Taylor was part-time at the church.
Yeah.
And so, and I splurged on that new shirt. And we've talked about it before in past podcasts. I was like I'm very tight-wad, and we weren't financially secure. And so I was like...
Which I had nothing to do with.
Yeah, no. Tyler did not
Just
have...
preface that now.
No, but this was at the beginning. And so I feel like that was in December. And so I think maybe one of the reasons why you weren't so stressed is because we needed health insurance. That's when like it was going to be mandatory, and you knew full time was coming because it came like 2 weeks later, and I cried. You took me to ice cream and told me you got full time at the church, and I cried. But my favorite I think was when we realized we were trying to figure out like I felt like we just became close. It feels like it was overnight. And we're like, wait, when did we become friends?
Yeah,
like
I still don't know the origin moment. Of
like we can't name like this.
When
was
did
the
we
moment.
actually be friends rather than just like we worked together?
Mm-hmm. And we narrowed it down to like a season. We would come over to your house and watch Rich in Faith. Oh, you forgot about that? But,
I did.
But even then, it was like that season of us coming over to watch Rich in Faith. So just a season of dreaming was kind of fun. And then like our walk around your apartment buildings, I think, are my fondest memories.
I struggle to remember the walks.
I mean, y'all did just have like a kid too. Like we would push the stroller. Remember that, Holly? Yes or no?
I do.
Okay, yeah, we got it to talk.
Holly's whispering. Which place was that we walked at?
Yeah, that was the one.
Was it the spaghetti night location?
Yeah, the spaghetti night. The one on Blue Ridge, right? Blue Ridge?
Yeah.
Because y'all didn't go to Ansley Common until after, like a month or so after he was born.
Right, yeah. Lyric was with us in our room for the
Right.
first 3 months.
Yep.
Wow.
See, I remember.
That apartment had more memories than I think any place we've ever lived.
But Ansley Common had the saltwater pool
Right.
that I never did go
But
into.
spaghetti nights, the beginning of the church, walk and talks.
Yes.
Yep.
All of that happened at that little one bedroom. Yeah. Those were fun.
And then I got really involved because you brought me in a lot with the young adults when we had Third Thursday, like creative night. Like I was out painting pine cones gold for the Hunger Game and stuff. So it was really
Hunger
fun.
Games.
Yeah, so it was fun because we got close because you have a lot of value with including spouse too.
Yeah.
And so like we joke all the time, Tyler and I are the same person in the relationship, and every time we go on vacation together, Tyler and I are walking quick talking, and we're like, where's our spouses? Or like Holly and Taylor are ready for a nap, and Tyler's like, all right, we're gonna go hang out. See you later.
We go find something.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that season of like you getting involved? Funny, speaking of funny moment, you were so involved that you even got a year in review.
Yeah. Tyler gave me a year in review, and I wasn't his staff. I was like, I'm just a
you
volunteer.
weren't staff, but you were staff. You did more than any other human being ever did. You did more than probably our staff. But also, in that season, I think it was my attempt to add value, to say that my only goal was to develop leaders, and you were there. So I was like, I'm not going to have one with Taylor and Stacy and not have one with Liz.
I remember, I can't remember which hurricane it was, but it was the moment I kind of like, not like pledged my loyalty to you, but like kind of like pledged my loyalty to our friendship. I was like, oh, well, we're going to be ride or dies. It's because you defended Taylor like so much. But there was like one time where it was a hurricane and like a lot of key people left when they shouldn't have left. And so Taylor was picking up this person's slack, and then this person's slack, and then this person's slack. And then Tyler comes over and he's like, you're not going to treat my employee like the redheaded stepchild of fake.
And I quote.
I remember it so vividly. And I was like, yeah, you tell him, Tyler. You tell him. Yeah, what's sticking with you for life?
If it was only that easy. No, I remember. It's so funny as you talk about these memories, they become very vivid. And I have thought about these since. It's insane. But I do think what linked us together more than anything is, one, you guys served like crazy. It's natural who y'all are. Y'all serve more than anyone ever ask. But at the same time, I think also Holly and I have this deep devotion to our people are our people. So if you're gonna work with us, you're gonna get all the enjoyment with us too. And so we just don't like doing things alone. Neither one of us have a complex of needing to be the it person or anything. So those memories are always so funny. And yeah, we went to bat for you guys a few times. Sometimes there was some selfishness in it though, because I'm like, you're not going to use Taylor because I need to use Taylor. I'm not going to.
If he bails on me, I'm coming after you.
So I was defending my own honor a little bit, but sure, yeah, I did my best.
Ugh.
Fun times. I haven't thought about these moments in a long time.
Gosh, this is like I still think about them.
I think about everything at all times.
I think about the lessons learned. And all of the ridiculous. I remember, I'll say probably, matter of fact, we were in a staff meeting, I think it was last week, and we were talking about something with social media or something else, but I like in a funny way referenced like how my old boss used to like ride me so hard to make sure if we had major events that like that day we were celebrating them on socials because people needed to know and it was, telling a good story.
I don't even know if I do that with my own now, but
you caught a little plug I did telling the best story wins.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay.
Wins
Story
the heart.
church. Anyway, but I remember that. And it's those, I don't know how good I was when I first started with you at Goose Creek, but I do remember that we clawed to get to where we were. And it was cool to be able to just fumble through a lot of that stuff and try it, get good feedback that was like, hey, that looks not great. We should probably redo that. What was your thought process?
Tape the tablecloths. Tape the
You have to tape.
They can't blow in the wind.
No, yeah. That wasn't my team, thank God. Yeah, gosh. But it's all that stuff you just pick up and you have to pick up. And we were joking earlier about how I still live in Goose Creek and now you live in the Spartanburg area and you've got to learn all of those things like over again.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it too. Like campus pastoring is much different than lead pastoring, planting. Like that's two totally different things. So give us like, I don't know, because I think people would be kind of curious to see this perspective. Remind us, and it's kind of funny because we just talked about this, but for the people, I mean, obviously listening, 18 and a half of you, let them know, like, from your perspective, the difference between what you would say your experience was campus pastoring and lead pastoring.
Wow. Yeah.
I know, loaded question.
I think it's a book that someone out there needs to write. I don't have time to write it, nor do. Taylor's trying to get me to write 4 books, but I keep telling him I don't have anything to say. No, I think there's the obvious ones. One, when we launched a campus, we were 100% resourced and encouraged, and finances were taken care of. I had a staff, something I didn't realize how valuable it was, even with part-time staff in the early days. Having a staff was a game changer. I think probably the biggest thing I would say is for us, we planted a campus that had 2 major benefits. One, it's from where we were from. So we had relationships from kindergarten on with people that we could reach out to and invite along the journey. 2, you had, and this is probably the biggest thing I've learned, you had, from my understanding, over 35 years maybe now of Pastor Larry's commitment to Faith Church. And so he had built reputation. Mm-hmm. There was a brand that had notoriety and understanding by the community. Yeah. And so when we announced we were launching a campus in that city, we came with a logo and a pastor who had built rapport and respect in the community for 30 plus years. And I think a lot of times that's what people are looking for, is they're looking for stability. Mm-hmm. They're looking for someone who's not going to show up and throw a great event this week, but will still be doing it 20 years from now. Yeah, okay. That'll still be serving people. And so we moved to Spartanburg. I think we figured out we didn't know that we knew people in Spartanburg. But when we moved here, we knew 0 people.
Dang.
Our first day that we went out of the house, we just wanted to get out. We didn't know where to go. We didn't know how to get there, and there was no one to go with. And and we met a couple in a park and changed our life. Truthfully, like, I think Holly would be willing to admit, I think day 1 is the day she decided we should probably go back home and do something else.
Oh yeah, I might be the same way.
And day 2, we met this couple, and it just, to be honest, the first 48 hours really highlighted how difficult it was going to be having there was nothing to prove that we were trustworthy, that we were going to be here, that we were stable. And so I think that's really the major difference. I think the benefit of campus life and what we were a part of at Faith, which is, I think, one of the greatest gifts now to the church, is Faith can make a decision tomorrow. We're going to go to this community and we're going to launch a healthy, amazing church there. And they can actually accomplish it because of finances, all those things, but bigger, a proven track record. Compared to we've spent the last 14 months trying to convince people we're trustworthy, we plan to stay, that we're going to be here. So I could talk about this probably for 4 hours.
No, that's good though.
I think that's the biggest thought though, is we did not quite understand how important it is, how important reputation is to the building of a church.
I don't remember what context it was, but there was a phrase I heard a long time ago, but something moves at the speed of relationships.
Yep.
And I think that in my 0 experience of church planting, I would assume church planting is that way, because we talked to the Stilts, I think it is, over in Japan, and they were saying that they've been there for a year, I think it was. And the first full year they were there, they weren't hosting major services. They weren't doing all these big events or anything like that. They were simply building relationships with people, just doing the same thing you said. And I mean, they're 3,000 miles away. So it's crazy that you're in
same exact process
right
here. Yeah. For 12 months, our only goal was not to build a church, launch a service. Even I would say in the last couple months, we started focusing on even using terminology team. For at least, I would say, 9 months. The only goal was to establish relationships, to make friends at a ball field.
It's massive.
Because those would build what I was talking about was missing. We met this family on day 2. We hung out with them again. And when we hung out with them, there were people that we met later that were letting us know, they were telling that family how crazy they were to bring these strangers into their home around their children. And we were talked about that way. And, knowing you guys, it's like, how could someone say that about us? Right. We're an amazing family. We're kind. We're good people. But you think about the principle.
Right.
They met us in a park. And 3 days later, we're sitting in their living room. But what I was getting at is it built that relationship that led to another relationship that we joined a baseball team because of that. And I became friends with the coach and some of the other families based upon that story. And they had a level of trust was built because we seemed trustworthy to their friends. So just that, one interaction built but compare that to 30 years of doing that by Pastor Larry and the church at Faith as a whole. That's the difference maker.
It gets compounded, I think, at some level. It's just snowballs. You start faithfully, and then the Lord just makes it. And the longer you're around, the bigger that snowball is.
People don't... I don't think we say it in language, but we are people of stability and consistency far more than we like to admit. Our culture is always changing, and things are always changing. At the end of the day, we go to the tried and true. We find peace and we find safety in the tried and true. Yeah. It's why reviews on Yelp and things still matter. Right. I think because we're looking for something that's proven.
Yeah. What did you think about this?
Yeah. I think it's big.
Back in college, was Charlie Dawes in your life in college?
Yes.
Okay. So we talked about him a little bit, and you mentioned that he had just called, we were talking earlier, and you mentioned that he had just called you somewhat recently.
Yeah.
So that was, when did you first meet him?
I met him, I served my sophomore year of college on his spiritual formation team at Southeastern University. So I was under his leadership for a semester. And we were friends, our mentorship style friendship all through my college experience.
So you first meet him in college, and even recently he's calling you and he's talking, and you guys, I don't want to, I guess I'd be curious to know what that kind of ongoing relationship looks like for somebody that saw you as a punk kid in not as much as other leaders have spoken into your life. He may have been a little bit more graceful than some of you told me about, but I would be curious to hear from you how impactful that those ongoing relationships of people like him who saw you as, just a college student that now see you as a lead pastor that still continue to mentor to some level and still pour into you, to know what kind of impact that has on you now.
Yeah, I think, first of all, to create a realistic expectation, I think Charlie Dawes and I have spoken 10 times in 10 years, or less. It's not consistent. We would see each other at a church event, like a conference or something like that. We'd make connection we stayed connected over Instagram because we both love golf, and we would, comment about golf stuff and things like that. But, in this season, as we took a huge step of faith, there's been those people that have been ongoing relationships that have gotten involved in some way, whether it's encouraging us, supporting us, things like that. I think the biggest thing for me in this season has just been recognizing tons of relationships look different. Mm-hmm. They're not all we talk every week. I have very few people that I speak to consistently every week, every 2 weeks, even every month. But I think just that little bit of belief in this season, I think it's far more valuable than we're willing to admit. And often we don't experience that because we're not forced to. Holli and I stepped out into a season where, truthfully, I mean, we probably felt like we were facing the impossible more than any other season of our life. There was moments where you can ask Holli. She can say yes again on the podcast. But I think more than any other season in my life, I made the comment, this might not work. I've always had a sense of confidence because we had the covering. It's like, okay, if when we launched the campus, it didn't go well, we can just be like, well, it's okay.
We tried.
Maybe I can go back to young adults.
But something to fall back on.
There was something. There was always a catch, and the weight was always on the leader that we served under, and not on us. And in this season, impossible. So I think for me, the friendships in this season, even acquaintances that took time to reach out and say, proud of you, believe in you. I've made the joke quite a few times with our team that's joined us and helped us launch the church. I say, if I believed in myself as much as everyone else believes in me, I could be pretty powerful.
You'd be doing some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we had one person on our team that always said, we made the comment, 95% of our team had never heard me preach before. They signed up to launch a church, and they didn't even know if I could preach.
You're like, are you sure?
Yeah, it was solely relational. They had no idea what kind of church we were going to launch. We didn't even tell them what it was going to look like.
Because you had no idea.
Yeah, we didn't. We still are trying to figure it out. But I think one of the people on our team would always say, like, Pastor, once they hear you preach, and I would say back, I'd be like, that's amazing. I wish I believed in my preaching as much as you do.
Gosh.
So I think moments like Charlie Dawes and many others in my life, those just those confirming voices who at some point in my life as a college student spoke that purpose and calling over my life.
Yeah. To
continually to confirm it, I think in this season more than any, I would say was absolutely necessary.
Yeah, that's a killer reality check of these voices that speak into your life maybe in the past aren't going to be as present and is consistent all the time. But I think to me, this is the importance of I can recall so many amazing people that I served in ministry alongside. I think of like a Jeremy Glover. I think of like a Drew Myers, and I'm naming these people, and I'm in my mind going like, man, they sacrificed really so much for my leadership as I tried to do for them as best I could. And sometimes I'll sit and I'll get a little bit convicted because I'm like, man, they meant so much to me, and I may have meant a little bit to them. And I wish that I would be better at just texting every now and then. So I think that two things. One, I think it's important that when you transition out of a season in a ministry or in a church, young leader, that you don't burn bridges. So when you leave, man, make sure that you leave well. You never, ever want to leave a sour taste in anybody's mouth because, one, you never know what the future is going to hold. Yeah. And then, two, you never know what kind of mark that you've left on someone's life. And you could be a Charlie Dawes to them in the future if you have that open kind of consistent, not consistent always, but like if you've got that text every now and then that comes in, just says, hey man, like the guy you're telling about, like, hey, the first thing I thought about this morning was you. And I was like, whoa, we haven't talked to me in like months. But it's just that, hey, like sometimes I'll get convicted because I want to reach out. I won't think about it. But
you're hinting at a big topic that we had for years and years that I always said, which was seasonal friendships.
I don't like that.
Was a constant. I still believe in it in a different way. This is definitely a list topic too.
Yeah, Tyler and I believe in seasonal friendship. Taylor has, I think, abandonment issues, and he needs to work it out in therapy. Because every time like someone transition, even in a healthy way, he gets so sad and like takes it so personally. I'm like, it's not even about you, bro.
Which is a good thing because it proves a level of care and closeness. I always make the joke of seasonal friendships because I acknowledge that they are real. Two, though, I think there's an opportunity in every single season that people come into your life, and our expectations these days are that people come in our life and they never leave. And if they left, it has to be negative versus viewing things through the gift of the seasons we have with people. For instance, a voice like Charlie Dawes, a Chris Owen, and Andrew Gard that I sat under in college. Very little talk now. I've connected with some of them more recently through things, but what if I never did? Does it devalue the fact that I had three amazing men of God speak into my life for 4 years of my life, and I became and was shaped by those things? And I think also understanding this, new revelation is not necessary for consistent growth. I still go back to the same statements they said 10 years ago, and I can grow today because of it. And so I think it's just understanding that, and also understanding the nature of some relationships. I think some relationships are like this. We
share a phone plan.
Yeah, we share a phone. We have to be friends.
We are locked in.
I got to be nice to you guys so that you send the Venmo.
Exactly.
But I think understanding, I think the goal should always be that our relationships are strong, even with distance. But I think also some friendships do and some friendships don't. I look back on Holli and I's life, like even before we got close with you guys, there were friendships that we had that felt just as close as you guys, that we still love these people dearly, but we haven't talked to them in years. So I think it's just it's a pattern. I think you give your whole heart to people in the seasons that you have them. And if that continues, for instance, like you guys, I think y'all will be a lifelong friendship. It's a different nature now, but I think it's a lifelong friendship. Awesome. But there's others that we love just as much that we won't have contact with as nearly as much. And yeah, it's always been a topic for me. I think it's always been a topic for me too, because it helps me cope with the fact that I always knew at some point I was gonna move and do what I felt like God was calling us to do. So maybe it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, maybe. that definitely is something that I would love to continue growing in, because it probably is. You joke, but it may be some kind of trauma with abandonment of, I have to be close to these people and I have to be connected to be valuable. And if I'm not, then it's like, oh, there goes my value and all my purpose is gone from that. But
we're getting deep here.
Yeah, that was a good thought.
That's a great thought.
That was really good.
Liz is helping you right now.
Any last words from anybody?
I think it's sad that we haven't talked. Yeah, Holly has to close us out. I think
Holly's
it's
gonna
sad
pray
that
over us.
we've had this entire conversation. We've never talked about probably the greatest things we've ever done in our friendship, which are our vacations.
Ow.
We've talked about
The cruise.
Here's the crazy part. We were coworkers that vacationed away from work together, and I think that's a
Not
special
once,
part.
though.
No, multiple times.
That's the key, yes.
multiple times because that is the tell.
Right.
If we actually liked it.
Anybody can do it once.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go back.
Where was
it's
our
like
first one?
It was
Bahamas?
No, Jamaica.
It's Jamaica.
Cayman. Yeah, Jamaica because we did the
Jamaica and Grand Caymans. Oh, we got baked because we refused to put on any suntan lotion.
That's the lobster one.
God.
We got in trouble on social media for being burnt.
Post one picture of everybody sunburned and all their reminders, sunscreen.
And that's when we went to Haiti and the jet skis.
Jet skis in Haiti were great, yeah.
The jet skis. All I remember about the jet skis is the guy who was confidently signed up to be number one, and then he got put in the very back because he was awful on a jet ski. Because you remember they asked who's like experienced jet skiers.
Oh, I've done this 100 times.
And,
Come on.
Yeah, this guy. I always remember that. We loved Haiti.
Haiti was nice.
Obviously not Haiti.
Let's go back.
It was,
The private,
it was
royal.
private,
Yes.
boxed off part of Haiti.
But as a country, we also love it.
Yeah,
fully
we love
support
Haiti.
Yeah.
But
But we don't like to, maybe like to visit Haiti.
yeah,
Zip line. We didn't do a zip line.
we didn't do it, but we said we had to go back
yeah,
to do it because
yeah.
it like starts at the top of a mountain and ends on the beach.
I'm still trying to find as many jet ski excursions on cruises as I can, but they're not common.
No.
They're not on all of them.
The only disappointment
that's what it
about the
is.
jet ski thing is I thought we were gonna like go jet skiing, but pretty much we
Yeah.
played like follow the leader,
Yeah.
and we got sold on like buy $10
Rocks.
random rocks
All
or
these
something.
people in canoes just come
Yeah.
over and they're like,
we
buy
kept
this
having
stuff.
to stop.
Like, I don't want it. I can buy this on the shore.
No, the cruises are some of my most treasured memories in life. Like we love vacation, and we would get a lot of flack from people even at work about the fact that we vacation together.
We'll just tell them that when we had last call at the casino.
Right. We'll keep that out of here. We're,
My favorite with any of the cruises was the time where we were still planting the church. Was when we ran into somebody. Okay, so let me tell us from the beginning. Let's tell it from the beginning. So we already had the cruise planned and paid for because that's what Clydes do. And so we're just talking casually with somebody that just trying to get coffee at the church. And we're like, yeah, we're excited about this cruise we're taking.
The port is 8 hours away.
Right, it's a Florida port, Port Canaveral probably, Fort Lauderdale.
It was Miami.
Miami. So it's Miami Port, very specific, 8 hours away from where we were. So we're just casually talking, getting excited about the thing, and somebody that's getting coffee goes, "Oh, that's crazy! I'm going on a cruise this weekend." And we were like, "That's wild," but don't think anything more about it because come on, the cruises go out of every port in the world, so it's definitely not going to be the same one. And we are just walking, I think, through the hallway, right? And we just randomly stumble
It was
upon
like
this person.
day one.
Day one of the cruise, and we're like, man, we can't wait to get away from everybody and just let loose and just relax. And then here we are
Immediately.
with someone we did not expect to see.
It was a moment for sure.
Yeah.
The cruises are so many memories, so many funny things.
So many memories of the sea, Liz.
You remember the riding the wave on the back of the boat?
Getting taken out by the wave.
Yeah. You hit hard.
I did.
You hit the floor.
Also, like I remember there was always defining moment in friendship, and I don't think we've ever talked about this with the cruise. But it's like that. The second one we did joining rooms. Did we have joining rooms on the first?
We did, but it was an accident.
It was an accident, but the second it was intentional.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the
balconies
defining moment of the
did join,
relationship
yes.
is like we're really close, but it was the constant like struggle or tension of going, is now a moment to reach out and like or give them their space or to knock on the door and be like, are we hanging? It was a constant.
This is every single text that Liz goes to text you guys.
Yep.
She's like, should I call the Stills? And I was like, no, they are literally busy doing anything right now. They're probably and every time she's like, okay. Every single time.
I remember I'm the epitome of an Enneagram 7. I tell everyone I'm a 7-7. Like, I don't ever want to be away from people, especially when we're together. So as great as the time is with my wife, conviction over here, trying to be a better husband, I'm like, what are the Clydes doing? She's like, I'm sure they want some time to themselves. Like, they might go do something.
They're probably bored. They want to hang out.
And I'm
something.
like, well.
I'm over here like, I was like at one point, because at the second cruise we had conjoining rooms, but we had windows, but then we upgraded to balconies the second cruise. So we had our balconies connected. So I remember I would like sit on the balcony trying to see if, I was like, well, maybe they'll come out if they want to hang out with us. Well, no, you can't tap it because you can't cross the balcony lines in case you can peek into the room because privacy.
This proves how close we are, though.
Yeah. Well, my favorite is because the only reason we left from Carnival and went to Royal Caribbean's last time is because we could not find conjoining rooms with Carnival because we were booking like pretty close to like when we wanted to cruise. So we called Carnival trying to find it, and they're like, "Well, if you guys," I was like, "We're close. We want conjoining rooms," and she said,
which is really bizarre.
Yeah, she's like, "Do you guys want to just share a suite together?" And I was like, "We're not that close. We're not that close."
I mean, we're close, but we're not sleep in the same room close.
Yeah, no, like we need a little separation.
We don't need any rumors started.
I mean, yeah, we had that song we would joke about, that rumor song with you and I. Because, well, also because Holly and Tyler, I mean, it's Tyler and Taylor. I get tongue-tied whenever you guys are together. But whenever Holly and Taylor were ready for the afternoon naps, Tyler and I would go explore the boat and they're like, oh, it's like, where's your spouse? Like, oh, you guys married? We're like, no, our spouses are sleeping, but in separate rooms.
Yeah, it was always a weird interaction. And it's fine. We've all gotten close enough to where it's not a big deal, but
so funny.
It is very funny. I remember a few of those moments where it's like, oh, you and your bride want to do this? And I'm like,
she's not.
She might, but
here.
she's actually taking a nap right now, which is the epitome of Holly on a cruise. Really the epitome of Holly. Holly is going to take a nap.
Best.
And
if it's 2:30 in the afternoon, it's a siesta.
When I think of nap time on the second cruise, all I think about is we watched the Disney movie Coco probably 50 times.
The Greatest Showman, you're right.
And The Greatest Showman. Holly, that would have been a moment to get close to the mic and say, and The Greatest Showman. But no, the cruises, I think it says something about ministry. I guess a closing thought for me. The way we've chosen to do ministry, technically I was your boss for all of those seasons. Never felt that way. Moments where I had to do my job.
Yeah, many moments like that felt like that to me.
Yeah. But and it's even something we're always trying to navigate, even in this season, as we're working with a lot of amazing volunteers, is I have this love for collaborating. I have strong opinions, but never do it myself and be the guy with all the answers. This sounds super humble, and I wouldn't call myself super humble, but just in the sense I love doing ministry and life with people. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of the unique things about our relationship was that from the very beginning, I felt like it was really, you could say, group Stacy into this too. Getting her on a podcast would probably be
Lord
you would go viral. But
one anointed podcast, I'll tell you that.
You would either cry or you'd laugh a lot. But I think just our commitment to doing things together, there were moments I had to be a boss, but at the same time, we did everything together. Like we always say we built Faith Goose Creek with the Clydes. It wasn't like I built it and the Clydes were with us and we had a great team. It was more of like, no, these couples came together and built this church, and it was by all measures successful and still is today, and being pastored well today by an amazing couple that joined that crew. Yeah. And I think that was always the thing. We got weird statements by some people of like, you vacation with your staff. We had others who envied it and wanted to replicate it, you know? So yeah, and we had others who wanted to join us and all those things. But for me, I think it was the coolest thing is it just proved for me that you can do both. I think one thing, a conversation we talked about a lot was, can you be boss, coworker, and friend?
Oh, yeah.
And some people feel like, I've read articles where like you can't be friends, and I'm like,
I don't like that. What else you got?
yeah, like I think it's a lame excuse to not deal with the tension. I think we found a unique opportunity, especially me and Taylor, of understanding the moments when we were just friends and understanding moments when we had to do our jobs. And
Right.
part of my job was being a boss. And so I think we found that. I don't know if we could write about it because I don't know if we know why it worked. Maybe you can.
No, I think for me it takes I've always kind of understood my role in life to be one that is like an armor bearer and a very second chair. I'm very comfortable being in the second chair, and I've even in this current season now, I would say that I find more contentment than others who could be in this position because I'm not trying to build my own kingdom and push my own agenda and my own preferences with stuff. I have no trouble finding or grabbing the vision from my leadership and then making it happen.
Yeah.
And I think that is something I think that the Lord gifted me with, and being okay with that. But
It's unique.
the longer I'm around, I do find that it is unique, and it is definitely a grace. But yeah, I think that the thing is, you just have to find out how your leader is and how you are, and then you find the balance.
Yeah.
But until you know how you are, you have no idea, how the whole thing's going to work. So
I think the same on the leadership side. I think every relationship of a staff I ever had was different. And I just had to learn the people. There were some that were natural, and even if certain people listen to this that worked for me will know others were not so natural.
Yeah.
But we made all of them work.
Right.
And I think it's a devotion. I think the key, and I try not to preach, but I think the key is you have to value people above what they do and value people above what they offer you and what they can achieve for you. I read a book a long time ago. I don't remember what it was. It was that year I read 48 books. And I have to claim that one year because I've never gotten close
Right.
ever again.
But it's always the benchmark.
Yeah, it's the bench. It's what I tell people that when they read a lot. I'm like, well, I read 48, 1 year. But
What year was that? 2013? Okay. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
exactly.
Just kidding.
It was before I had children. I'll just say that. But I'll never forget there was this one highly successful CEO in Asia somewhere. And he wrote that he never fired anyone and never would because he wouldn't fire his son. Therefore, he wouldn't fire anyone that came under his leadership. And I don't know if that's a great principle, but I remember the one takeaway I took away from it was the principle that every person we worked with should have the same value that I put on my children. And my boys are my life. I don't care about anything as much as I care about them. Love them more than anything. I love being a father more than any other title. And there's not a failure they could bring into life to make me write them off in any way. And so when you view people that way, I think it changes the game. And it was fun. It was a fun 7-year journey of life. And now we get to redefine it. But we haven't been on a vacation together in...
You didn't even have to turn the phone around, Liz. I was just going to say, but my wife's probably literally pulling it up right now.
What
on
was
her
it,
phone.
2019?
Yeah, 2019.
That's not true.
Yeah.
2019.
It was before
What?
COVID, and we didn't get to go the
I
next...
guess
We were
so.
planning to go 2020, but COVID hit. And then cruises kind of went non-existent for a year.
Yeah.
I don't even know what regulations are now. And then we wanted to plan a church. So,
Right,
and you
right.
guys wanted to go to Japan. So
We did want to do that.
we got to make it happen though, because
Yeah, you had a baby too, and you couldn't go because of the baby.
I personally didn't have a baby, but
Yeah, you can't
Holly,
blame having
did
a
you?
baby on him.
Holly, did you have a baby?
Yes.
Affirmative. You heard it here first. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for both being here and suffering with us for a little bit. As soon as we knew we were coming, I said, Liz, we have to do this. This is literally, we've mentioned these guys in so many episodes before this, and your friendship means so much. And so we figured we want to honor you with this. And now, if you die, we have your voice that we can listen back to. We joke about that sometimes. Liz, like, will take a dumb video of me on the couch. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, because when you die, I can watch this.
I'm glad you explained that because when you said we joke about this sometimes, I thought you were saying we joke about you dying sometimes. Like that was my thought.
No way. Gosh. Now, yeah, the podcast.
As long as we get our
turn.
royalties at the end of this, we
we make how much do we make per episode, Liz? I think we pay per episode. This is a horrible deal. Welcome to the last episode. No. Hey, thanks everybody for listening to this. We're excited that you joined us in this conversation. As always, if you know somebody that can benefit from this or somebody who might like the conversation, be sure to share this and rate, subscribe, and view and share this podcast everywhere that you are listening to it right now. As always, we would love to hear future episode ideas, so you can follow us on Instagram at Taylor Clyde, at Elizabeth P. Clyde. That was just, audible cues, so you know exactly how to find us. So shoot us some ideas, shoot us a DM with some ideas for some future episodes of conversations that you would like us to have. But until next time, we'll see you on the other side. You got to send us out like you always do, Liz.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.